What's up, everybody? It's Baki from Baki Rants. As you can see, huge Bears fan. Um, just making a video. I'm gonna be posting this on my YouTube channel and my social media. Uh, my Twitter account at $22 and my YouTube account, the Baki Rant. Put both links, attached to this video, so you guys can subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow if you're on Twitter. Basically making a video talking about the Bears, giving an overall view from a fan's perspective about this season. Definitely going to be talking about the positives, the negatives, the overalls about this Bears season. We'll be bringing some other NFL content as well, but I think about other teams because even though I'm a Bears fan, huge Bears fan, they're number one. I'm also an NFL fan. I am a football fan, so I'm going to be as objective as I possibly can about other teams, unless it's the Green Bay Packers. I preface my comments by saying when it comes to the Green Bay Packers, I have no objectivity when it comes to those, the Green Bay Packers whatsoever. Mainly because the Green Bay Packers have been one of the cockiest fan bases in American history to me. I mean, go look on social media and Twitter and look at how Packer fans have been hating on the Bears all season long, and that just give you a little glimpse of how they've been when it comes to the Bears. So I'm gonna rant and put another video against Packer, going up against Packer fans, because that's gonna take a whole nother video. But this video is basically gonna be talking about the overall season so far for the Bears. Right now, Bears are currently 10-4. If my memory serving correct, we're about 10-4. We just beat the Green Bay Packers to win the division. First time in 7 years. Last division title was in 2010. Last time we made the playoffs was 2010. So it's good to be back. It's good to have a Bears team that's good again, a Bears team that's exciting again. This has been the first time in a very long time that as a fan base we can be as excited about a Bears team. This team is likable. A bunch of young guys, a bunch of young, hungry guys, a coaching staff that finally knows what they're doing, a general manager that actually has a plan, which is, a breath of fresh air when it comes to Bears fans. Because if you've been a Bears fan, you've noticed the last about 5-6 seasons, ever since we made the playoffs in 2010, we've been on a downward slope. We've had bad record after bad record. We've had poor GM work from Phil Emery, bad head coaches from Mark Trestman to John Fox. We've had piss poor drafts by those guys. It's now seemingly we finally have a GM in Ryan Pace, who's been here for at least I think the last 4 years now. He's actually put a plan in place to know what he wants to do. I think he's been here about 4 or 5 years now. But he seemingly has a plan. He just hired, Coach Nagy. This is his first season. Likeable coach, young guy. He's a part of this, this NFL. And what I mean by that is he's not an old school classic coach like we had prior to him. Our coach we had prior to him was John Fox. John Fox, to me, at the time he was hired a few years ago, that was GM Ryan Pace's first coaching hire. At the time, I thought it was a good hire, but he spent, I think, about 3 seasons with us, 3 or 4 seasons with the Bears. Didn't come close to having a winning record each year. I mean, it showed that he was, an old school NFL coach that was out of touch with this, this NFL, this new age NFL. So Ryan Pace got him out of here last year, brought in, Coach Matt Nagy. He did an excellent job with the draft. the past few seasons. This Bears team is young, they're athletic, they're hungry, they're ready to go. And we're seeing the combination of all of that this season. A lot of people didn't even pick the Bears to make the playoffs. A lot of people said that the Bears would be last in the division once again. Um, Now, I didn't say we would be last in the division. Now, did I predict them going to the playoffs or anything like that? No. I'll tell you that right now. I didn't predict them going to the playoffs. And if there's any Bear fan that told you that they were gonna win the division and go to the playoffs this year, guarantee you they're lying, because they didn't believe that none this season. Before the season started, I mean, I didn't hear any Bears fans telling you they were gonna win the division and go to the playoffs. So if you come across any Bears fan that said they knew it, they're flat out lying. They didn't. Come on, that's ridiculous. You had no evidence to support that theory prior to this season. So, I mean, now saying all of that, I did say that the team would be better. They would not be fourth in the division. You know, I said they would have they will be a better team. Um, so I'm pleasantly surprised and happy that not only did we win the division, and we're going back to the playoffs in the first year of the Matt Nagy era. You know, I'm happy that I was wrong. You know, before the season started, I predicted they would be, a team. I said they would go about 8-8. Then they made the huge trade move for Khalil Mack, which showed everyone that the Bears were trying to win, because that's not a Bears type move. If you if you're a Bears fan, you've known for years the Bears have been hesitant to make moves like that. The last big time trade move that the Bears made that looked like they were trying to win was back in, I think, like 2006, 2000, not 2000, excuse me, like 2008, around in there, when they traded for Jay Cutler. That was the last time that the Bears made like a big splashy move to show that they were trying to win. When they traded for Khalil Mack, it showed that the Bears were tired of being last. They were tired of being in mediocrity. They were tired of being fourth in the division in the NFC North. That they wanted to be improved. They wanted to be better. They wanted to win. They had a great off season. Like I said, GM Ryan Pace hiring Coach Matt Nagy, an offensive mind from Kansas City. He was the offensive coordinator last year for the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, they had a great off season in free agency, picking up Allen Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars, signing Taylor Gabriel. I think Taylor Gabriel was coming over from Atlanta. If I think he was coming over from Atlanta, I think either Atlanta, or if it might have been a different team, but he's mostly been known for being an Atlanta Falcon. They picked up Trey Burton from the Philadelphia Eagles, who recently won the Super Bowl last year. So he's a guy that knows how to win. Those are the three biggest key moves that they made as far as bringing guys in. In the draft, Roquan Smith, their first round pick, getting a steal in the second round with Anthony Miller, wide receiver. In the draft, those are just a couple names. They have a few other players like Bilal Nichols and a few other guys that came in this year's draft that's making impacts right now, which that's what you want. You want, when you draft guys, you actually do want them to make an impact at some type of position or some type of way on the team. And for the most part, pretty much everyone that they selected in the draft this year has made some type of impact this season. Whether it's been offense, defense, or special teams. So overall, that's been great. Last year's draft, the guys from last year's draft, drafting Mitchell Trubisky, Tariq Cohen, Eddie Eddie Jackson, guys like that, they're making impacts. So the fact that you're getting guys that you drafted this year and last year, and some guys from the year before his draft, that's still here making impacts, that's showing that GM Ryan Pace, knows how to draft. And he knows how to bring in guys that can make impact. Like the one like flaw blemish when it comes to drafting and Ryan Pace has made was his first draft. When he first got here, he drafted Kevin White. Kevin White, as everybody remember, if you're a Bears fan, you remember wide receiver. I think he was the 7th or 8th overall pick about 4 years ago. Can't stay healthy, can't stay on the field. His first year he got injured, missed the whole season. Second year, I think he played about 4 games, broke his leg or something like that, missed the rest of the season. Third year, played a few games, hurt himself again, out for the rest of the year. This year, he's in the final year of his 4-year deal, rookie deal. He's played a few games this year, but overall he's had some healthy scratches and things like that. So I think Kevin White is on his way out. He probably won't be back with the team next year. It sucks for the kid because dude is a great dude. I think he just needs a fresh start somewhere else. But that's the only real blemish on GM Ryan Pace's record as far as draft, because that's the only draft pick that he's really drafted that didn't pan out. But other than that, for the most part, most of the guys he's drafted in about the 4 years he's been here as a GM has, made an impact, and has produced for the team. And most importantly, it's still on the team, because that's what a lot of NFL teams, don't have. A lot of NFL teams, they have these drafts, and they might get 6 or 7 picks, and out of the 6 or 7 picks in the draft class, only 3 or 4 may make the roster. GM Ryan Pace has had 5 picks in a draft. He's had 6 picks. He's had 7 picks, and he's made picks over the last few years that guys are still on this team and making contributions. Which that's what you want from a GM. You want a GM that can draft guys, whether it's the first round all the way to the 7th round, that can come in and make impacts and can stay on the team and develop, which is what we like to see. Then he also, like I said before earlier in the video, he brought in the coaching staff and Matt Nagy, who knows how to, knows how to really put people in the proper, places. Like, you can have as good drafts all you want. You can have good free agent signings all you want. But at the same time, the same token, if you don't have the right coaching staff and a proper coaching staff to do what you need to do, it's not going to make a damn. Which is evidence as how the Bears were the last few seasons with John Fox and his coaching staff. John Fox and his coaching staff really did not know how to develop talent. Honestly, they really did not know how to develop talent. They were too old school. They were not up on this, version of the NFL, the new age NFL. The only coach that was, retained by Coach Nagy when he came in was the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, which was the proper move, because Vic Fangio honestly was the only coach on John Fox's staff that was worth keeping, because he's the only one that out of all of John Fox's coaches looked like he knew what the hell he was doing as far as being the defensive guru. Like, he always had the defense solid. They were always top 10, top 15, and he knew how to develop the defense. Outside of that, outside of Big Fangio, the rest of the coaching staff on John Fox's staff was trash, especially the offensive staff. The offensive staff was terrible. John Fox, like I said, is an old school coach who really didn't understand the new age NFL. Now you bring in Matt Nagy this year. He kept Vic Fangio, which was a smart move to keep the continuity with the defense. He brought in his offensive philosophies from Kansas City. He's helped develop Mr. Trubisky, who's having a really good season. And I'm gonna have another video as well or I might even talk about it a little bit in this video, but I'm gonna have a whole separate video as well about the whole Mitchell Trubisky comparison, because I've seen over this season a lot of hate for Mitchell Trubisky. A lot of people, they either hate him or love him. There's no in between, and I see a lot of comparisons with the other quarterbacks in his draft class, Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, more importantly. And I've had some people on social media, Chiefs fans and other fans that want to talk like major league shit because of how, Patrick Mahomes is playing. And I mean, they have all right to, because Patrick Mahomes is playing out of his mind. Excuse me. He's having a historic season. But at the same time, I acknowledge, even though I'm a fan of Patrick Mahomes, because I am a fan of his game, Patrick Mahomes is really good. The type of season he's having is a historic season. Okay? It's a historic season. Patrick Mahomes will not throw for about 40 touchdowns next year. I can guarantee you the type of season that Patrick Mahomes is having, guarantee you he won't have that type of season next year. Guarantee you. So this notion that he's just so far in ahead and better than Mitchell Trubisky based off of how he's playing right now, to me, I'm one of those people, let's give it a few years. Both guys are in their second year. Let's give it, 4 years and see who's better. Instead of this notion, this validation of he's better right now. Deshaun Watson's better right now. Like, can we give these quarterbacks time to develop first, and then let's make the call? Let's look after about 4 or 5 years. Let's look at how these quarterbacks develop, and then we can kind of give you, okay, who's better? Is Patrick Mahomes better? Is Deshaun Watson better? Is Mr. Trubisky better? I said, like, give it time. That's how I look at it. But that's, for another video, because I'm gonna definitely make another video about that. But I'm gonna get into that more in more detail, and I would love to get comments from other people to get your opinions on that comparison. But back to the main objective of this video. Overall, like I said, the Bears has developed a good chemistry. They developed a bunch of young guys who are hungry and ready to go. And from week 1 of this season, you can tell this team was different. You can tell that this team is hungrier. This team is, more energized. This team is more enthusiastic. This team is more, is more confident than any other Bears team we've had in recent memory. Like, these guys on this team, especially after the Khalil Mack trade, which really brought so much more juice to this team. These young guys, they expect to be good. They expect to be great. What I've noticed about this Bears team and what I've liked about this Bears team is that Coach Nagy has infused energy, and he's infused enthusiasm, and he's infused a breath of fresh air around Hallis Hall, around the city of Chicago, around this Bears team and organization. He's brought in a mentality that, look, we're supposed to be good. That we're the Chicago Bears. Like, we're done with being last place. We're done with being a laughing stock. We're done with being stepped on by the likes of the Green Bay Packers and other teams like that. Like, who are these other teams to come out and come to Soldier Field and think it's going to be an easy game or run over us? We're the Chicago fucking Bears, man. Like, we're the monsters of the Midway. Like, we're a great team. We're a historic franchise. Let's bring back that historic franchise mystique and bring back the energy and say, look, man, we're a fucking good team too. We can play with the upper echelon teams. And that's the type of energy that he's brought, which I like. That's what I enjoy about this team. This team is fun. This is a fun-loving team. Like, the teams that we had prior to this was so boring. Like even the playoff teams, honestly, that we had before, it was just like the monotonous. They were just really like boring teams. Like they were just like they didn't really have too much energy in the locker room, stuff like that. This team is a fun-loving team. They have a lot of energy in the locker room. You know, if you watch their videos after games and stuff like that, they have the club dub thing where they have video where they're dancing around, they're playing music. They, after he wins, like they're energized. It's a legit team. Like they're an excitable team, and that's what I love about it. Um, that's the type of team that you want. You want a team that's positive, a team that goes out there and give everything that they got to give on the field every week. That's the type of team that you want. You want a team that believes that they can beat anybody, anywhere, at any time. That's what this team shows everyone. That's the type of confidence that this team has. So bear down, man. That's what I'm loving. I'm loving this team. I'm loving the personality of this team. Um, at the end of the day, we're gonna see how far they can go. We're gonna see how far that they can keep it going and this energy going. We're gonna see how far it takes them. Why can't we go to the Super Bowl? I know a lot of people are talking about the Rams. I know a lot of people talking about the Saints, and rightly so, because Drew Brees and the Saints are a great team. The Rams are a great team, even though the Bears just beat them. They're a great team, but the Bears are a great team as well. And I feel like with the type of defense that we have and the upgrades that we've had on the offensive end, that we can go on the road and win a playoff game. I believe in that. I believe in Coach Nagy. I believe in that coach staff. I believe in these players in this team that we can go anywhere, play anybody, and beat anybody. I'm not scared of anybody. And that's the type of confidence that this team has instilled in us as fans. Like, why can't we go to New Orleans and beat them in the dome? Why can't we go do that? Why can't we go to LA and beat the Rams in LA? Like, why can't we do that? So that's the type of confidence and energy that these Bears, these 2018 Bears, has given the fans. Now, more in depth, to more in depth positions of of this team, the quarterback positions. Mr. Trubisky, you know, you can see him developing every week. Yeah, he's had some good games. He's had some bad games. He's had some in the middle games this year. But overall, I think Mr. Trubisky is getting better by the game. Mr. Trubisky, the one thing that I like about him is if he has a bad game, he bounces back with a good game. You know, he understands his mistakes. He never makes the same mistake twice. He goes out there. If he makes a poor read, a poor throw, a poor decision, he analyzes the decision. He comes back out and says, okay, I know I messed up here. I can learn from it. I can grow from it. Bam. And he gets better. Um, that's what I like in a quarterback. I like a quarterback that takes accountability, which we're not used to around here. Because, I mean, let's be real. Bears fans know we had Jay Cutler for a number of years. This dude didn't take responsibility for anything. It was always somebody else's fault. It was always, some arrogant, just when you watched him in the press conference, it was like, dude didn't care whether they won or lost. That's the type of attitude that, he gave off. Mr. Trubisky's a totally different character. He's like, look, man, it is what it is. I messed up. I'm gonna go back in the film. I'm gonna learn from what I messed up, and I won't make the same mistake. That's the type of attitude that he has, and you can tell by his play. If he makes a mistake, he goes back. He looks at the film. He practices on whatever he made the mistake on, and he gets better for the next game. For example, the Rams game. He didn't play well against the Rams. He threw, I think, 3 interceptions. I think he threw like 2 to 3 interceptions. Okay, didn't play well. Came back this week against Green Bay, had 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. He learned from his mistakes. He learned from the throws and the decisions that he made in the Rams game. He came back the next week and played better. But he's done that all year. He had a poor he had a poor Cardinals game. I think they played the Arizona Cardinals week 3. He had a poor game there. He came back the next week. I forgot who they played the next week, but he came back and had a good game then. Because I remember that. I forgot the team that they played, but I remember him coming back the next week and had a good game. That's been Mr. Trubisky all year. Yeah, he's been up and down, but one thing I've learned is if he has a bad game, he comes back the next week and has a good game. He just needs more consistency to string more good games together, but he has the potential to do so. So I'm not all hater like a lot of people are when it comes to Mr. Trubisky and saying, "Oh, he's not good." I've had people say he's gonna be like Blake Bortles, which is complete bullshit. Like I don't understand where the fuck people come up with these Blake Bortles comparisons. That shit blew my mind early in the year. Like he's gonna be Blake Bortles. I'm like, how the fuck is he gonna be Blake Bortles? Like, come on, that's fucking ridiculous. Um, like I said, I've had Chiefs fans come out, oh, well, he's not as good as Patrick Mahomes, and it's like it's easy for Chiefs fans right now to talk shit. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is having a historic fucking season. He's having one of the best seasons that any quarterback can have. So it's easy to say that shit. But like I said earlier in the video, let's give him, give Mr. Trubisky and Deshaun Watson, who all were in the same draft class, let's give them a few years. Let's not judge after the first season, after the second season. Let's give them to year 3, year 4, year 5, where other teams have game plan for them and see how they adjust to the game plans. When teams adjust to them, let's see how they adjust to other teams. And let's see if they can be consistent every year. Like, I, if Patrick Mahomes, I'll be ready to say Patrick Mahomes is better. Is if he better than Mr. Trubisky. If Patrick Mahomes comes out next year and does the same exact thing he did this year. If this is going to be the consistent thing, which I guarantee was not, Patrick Mahomes will not throw for like 40. I think 40 touchdowns next year. Guarantee he's not. I guarantee he's not. And that's not me being a hater against Patrick Mahomes again, because I'm a fan of his game. I like his game. But for people to sit up here and just say, oh, 100% he's better than Mr. Trubisky based upon what he's doing this year is asinine to me. That's what boggles my mind. It boggles my mind how people can just 100% say, oh, well, he's better because, look at Mr. Trubisky. He was the second overall pick in the same draft that had Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Look what Patrick Mahomes is doing. He's scoring, he has 40 touchdown passes. People don't highlight the fact that Patrick Mahomes sat on the bench last year behind Alex Smith last year, right? And learned behind Alex Smith until the final 2 games of the season last year, and then he started the last 2 games and then started this year. So let me put it all in perspective. And I said earlier I would probably get into a different video about comparisons to Mr. Trubisky, Deshaun Watson, and Patrick Mahomes, but I'm going to add it in this video because I really want to get this point across. Because I want to get this point across for Chiefs fans and Texans fans and NFL fans in general. And I want to make my point. And like I said before earlier in the video, I would love comments about this and tell me if I'm wrong. Here's why I say give Mr. Trubisky time. Just like I say give Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes time. Yes, all 3 guys were in the same draft class. Yes, Mr. Trubisky was the second overall pick ahead of those 2 guys. But here's the advantage that Deshaun Watson and Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, has had over Mr. Trubisky. Number 1, both Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes has had the same coaching staff each of the same 2 years that they've been in the league. The same coaching staff, the same head coach, the same offensive coordinator, the same QB coaches, everything. The same offense, the same everything. Mitchell Trubisky, in the 2 years he's been here, has had two different coaching staffs. He had John Fox and his offensive coaching staff last year. Now he has Matt Nagy, who came from Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. You know, this year. That's what Mr. Trubisky has. He has a different offensive coach staff. Whereas Patrick Mahomes, outside of losing offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, who we got as our head coach, has the same head coach, the same QB coach, who I think was promoted to offensive coach. So outside of losing Matt Nagy as the offensive coordinator, Patrick Mahomes has essentially the same offensive coaching staff that he did last year. The same thing with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has the same exact offensive coaching staff that he had last year. So both those two guys had the benefit of having the same coaching staff each year that they've been in the league. Mitchell Trubisky has had two different coaching staffs in the first 2 years of his career. That's number one. Number two, weapons. Last year, the Bears had no offensive weapons last year. None. Do you know what his leading receiver was? The best wide receiver we had? The best wide receiver we had was Kendall Wright last year. Kendall Wright. Do you know who Deshaun Watson's best receiver was? DeAndre Hopkins, who's a top 2, top 3 receiver in the league. You know what other Patrick Mahomes? He has Travis Kelce, who's the best tight end in the game. He had Tyreek Hill, who's one of the best overall wide receiver running backs in the league. He had Kareem Hunt before Kareem Hunt made the stupid decision he did to get, the best domestic violence thing that he did, which is just stupid, And I would love to make a video on that type of stuff because, it just boggles my mind how NFL players can just put themselves in just fucked up positions and cost themselves. But I'll make a whole separate video on that one. That, like, legitimately, I would make a separate video because I definitely want to get into that subject because, I agree with a lot of people. Like, how in the hell do you put yourself in those types of positions when you've been blessed to have an opportunity to, make money playing a game? And for you to put yourself in a position to fuck that up by doing some dumb shit that could have been avoided, that's just fucking dumb. But like I said, I'll make a separate video on that. But Patrick Mahomes has all these other weapons. Tyreek Hill. He had Kareem Hunt, who was one of the best running backs in the game. Tyreek Hill, who's one of the best running backs / wide receivers in the game. Travis Kelce, the best tight end in the game. He has Sammy Watkins, who's a really good wide receiver this year. Mitchell Trubisky had Kendall Wright last year. He had Kendall fucking Wright last year. So what boggles my mind is how people will continuously say how bad Mitchell Trubisky is and how better Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes is, but yet overlook the fact that both guys had the same coaching staff, the same offensive scheme, and has had better weapons each year. Here's another big thing that I want to bring up as well, especially when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, Mitchell Trubisky started last year. Patrick Mahomes only started like 2 games last year. This is his first year overall starting." You're correct, 100% correct. But here's when how I disagree with that. Not disagree, but here's what how I compare the two. Mitchell Trubisky is in a new offensive scheme with a new offensive staff with a bunch of guys who are new to the offensive scheme as well. It's not just like Mitchell Trubisky's the only one that's new to the scheme. and he had a bunch of players that were already in the scheme and knew the scheme and knew the offense, and he's the only one learning. Patrick Mahomes was blessed to come into a position where all of his wide receivers and all his skilled players had been in Kansas City for years. So they already know the offensive scheme, they know the offensive staff, they know all the stuff already. And they've all been Pro Bowlers. So Patrick Mahomes has the blessing to have guys who know what's going on already. Mitchell Trubisky, just like Allen Robinson, just like Taylor Gabriel, just like Tariq Cohen, just like Jordan Howard, just like Trey Burton. All these guys are guys that we either signed this year or guys who were here with the different coaching staff. So all these offensive guys are learning this new offensive scheme the same way that at the same time Mitchell Trubisky's learning it. Whereas Patrick Mahomes came in and started with a team that all his damn weapons already knew the offensive scheme and has been in the offense for years. But yet, people want to shit all on Mitchell Trubisky saying how much Patrick Mahomes is so much better, but forget the fact that not only is Mitchell Trubisky learning the offense for the first time, all his weapons are learning the offense for the first time. So it's like people conveniently forget all of this shit or don't want to bring up this shit and act like, oh, he's just playing bad or he's not good, he's not as good as them, even though you conveniently forget all the benefits that Patrick Mahomes is having. Patrick Mahomes is playing with guys who's already been in the scheme for years. Let's be honest. Do we really believe that Patrick Mahomes would have 40 some odd touchdowns if he was starting with a bunch of guys, right, who were learning the offense just like he was learning the offense? Like, with Patrick Mahomes have 40 touchdowns if he was learning an offense for the first time and all of his weapons was learning the offense for the first time. I guarantee you he wouldn't. And this is not a video to shit on Patrick Mahomes because, like I said before early in the video, I like Patrick Mahomes. I'm a fan of his game, but I'm an overall football fan. But I'm not going to just discredit Mitchell Trubisky and what he's accomplished and shit on what he's accomplished and not bring up the fact that the benefits that Patrick Mahomes has had compared to Mitchell Trubisky. That shit is not fair. So for people to continuously sit up here and say, oh, Mitchell Trubisky's terrible, Mitchell Trubisky's holding the team back, Mitchell Trubisky is Blake Bortles and shit like that, and then have Patrick Mahomes look like he's just the greatest thing since sliced bread, that shit is wrong to me. Because it's like no one talks about that shit. No one has brought up all year long, no one has brought up the fact that Patrick Mahomes has had the benefit of being in the same offensive scheme each year that he's been in the league. And the weapons that he's thrown to has been in the same offensive scheme for multiple years. Whereas Mitchell Trubisky has a new coaching staff, a new offensive scheme, and all of his weapons are learning the offense at the same time he's learning the offense. Like, come on. Like, I'm not saying that Mitchell Trubisky is a finished product. I'm not saying that Mitchell Trubisky is better than Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that Mitchell Trubisky is as good as Patrick Mahomes and any of that right now. I'm saying give both guys time to develop. I'm saying let's not do the comparisons and let's not just sit up here and say Patrick Mahomes is clearly better than him based off of one damn season of starting. One. Because if we're going off the numbers, Patrick Mahomes is having a historic season. Patrick Mahomes is not going to have this type of season next year. You know what Patrick Mahomes, this shit reminds me of? It reminds me of the Dallas Cowboys a few years ago. It reminds me of Dak Prescott. Remember Dak Prescott's rookie year? Dak Prescott was the greatest thing since sliced bread. He was the heir apparent to Tony Romo. He was the guy, when Tony Romo got hurt, took his job, and he was lighting it up, and he was killing it, and he was the greatest thing, and he was the franchise quarterback and all that type shit. Now we're about 3 years in, 4 years in, and people are questioning, oh shit, is Dak Prescott the franchise guy? They're questioning to see if he's even that guy. Now I'm not saying that Patrick Mahomes will end up doing some Dak Prescott type shit, but I say that to say this: pump the brakes on saying he how great a quarterback is gonna be after 1 year. That's what I'm saying. Because Dak Prescott's rookie year, Dak Prescott was the shit. He was gonna be a superstar after the great rookie year he had. And then he's tailed off each year after. What I'm saying is Patrick Mahomes is having a historic year this year, a historic year. All credit to him. But let's not sit up here and say that Patrick Mahomes is just the best in that quarterback draft based off of one season. You cannot do that. I say give him time to develop. Just like I say, give Deshaun Watson time to develop. Let's give Mitchell Trubisky time to develop. And in 5 years, let's see where these guys are at. Let's see if, you know, Patrick Mahomes can be consistent and stay at the level he's playing at right now. Let's see if Deshaun Watson can continue to be at the same level he's at. Let's see if Mitchell Trubisky can get up to that level and play consistently at that level, or if he can't. That's all I'm saying is let's literally give these guys real time to develop. To me, the biggest problem that we have in the NFL is we have too many guys that allow stats in one good year to define whether someone's good or not. We don't give these guys enough time to really develop to see what they are. Prime example again, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's rookie year, he was a superstar. He was going to be the next great Dallas Cowboy quarterback. We're 4 years into this now, and people are sitting up here not knowing whether they want to pay Dak Prescott or not. They don't even know if Dak Prescott is the future. That's what happens when you crown a guy too early. So let's not crown Patrick Mahomes too early. I know Patrick Mahomes is having, like I said, once again, now I continue to say he's having a historic great season. He's making plays. He's throwing 6 touchdowns in the game. He's doing all this great shit. All I'm saying is pump the brakes on crowning this guy after 1 year of starting. Let's see if he can do this in year 3, year 4, year 5. Let's see if he can consistently be a great quarterback every year. And then the same way that we're letting him have time to develop, let's give Mitchell Trubisky that same amount of time to develop. Let's see if Mitchell Trubisky can develop into being a great quarterback. Because I'm sorry, yeah, Patrick Mahomes has 40 touchdowns and that's a historic season. But Mitchell Trubisky's numbers is not nothing to sneeze at. Mitchell Trubisky's having a solid season. 21 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Currently, I think that's the current stats. I don't know if, let me check his stats. I think it's 21 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. I'm thinking. I think that's what the stats are. Give me just a second, guys. I'm gonna look up the statistics right now. All right, so yeah, okay. So no, he has 23 touchdowns. Excuse me. So 23 touchdowns, 12 interceptions this season. That's the stats for Mitchell Trubisky this year. Okay, guys. He's yeah. Right. So yeah, he's 23 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He's throwing about 60. His completion percentage is about 65% this season, up from 59% last year. Um, he's having a solid season. Mitch Trubisky's having a solid season. I'm not saying he's having a great season. I'm not saying that he's having a piss poor season. He's having a solid season. He's having a good season. He's having a good season. But the reason why, to me, a lot of people are shitting on him is because he's not putting up numbers and putting up the flashy numbers how Patrick Mahomes is putting up the flashy numbers and flashy plays that Deshaun Watson puts up. But once again, this goes back to my earlier points in the video. Yes, Mr. Trubisky is not putting up those flashy numbers, but yet he's in the first year of a new offensive scheme with a new offensive coaching staff. Whereas Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson has had the benefit of being in the same offense with the same coaches their first 2 years in the league. So how can we continue to shit on Mitchell Trubisky and talk about how piss poor he's been when we were not acknowledging the fact that these other quarterbacks have been with the same offensive scheme each year that they've been in the league? And they've had weapons, and their weapons has been in the same offensive scheme for years. DeAndre Hopkins has been a top 2 receiver in this league for Bill O'Brien for the last, 5-6 years. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt before he was let go, Spencer Ware, all those guys in Kansas City, they've been in the same offensive scheme for the last 3-4 years. So yes, their offense is going to look better. Yes, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson will look better because they have veteran guys who's been in the offense for years. Whereas Mitchell Trubisky has good weapons, but they're all learning the new offense at the same exact time. And he still put up 23 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So like I said before, let's give these quarterbacks time to really develop. And after about year 4, year 5, we'll have a better idea of who these quarterbacks are. That's how I look at that. So that's my rant on the comparison of the Mitchell Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson thing. I know I've rambled on a lot on this video, but I had a lot of things I want to get off my chest and talk about the Bears, talk about, Mitchell Trubisky. The next part that I really wanted to get into was the defense. Khalil Mack is a beast. We all knew that. He was a beast in Oakland. Oakland is dumb as hell for trading him. I mean, we've all talked about that constantly all year. It is what it is. The defense is nasty. The defense was a top 10 defense last year. Akeem Hicks was a beast last year. He's gotten better this year. Kyle Fuller has had a great year. Eddie Jackson, great year. Leonard Floyd has bounced back this season. He was hurt earlier in the year. He's had a bounce back in the second half of this season. This defense has been amazing, man. This defense is a bunch of rough riders, and I feel like this defense can hold any offense. Any offense. This defense, Vic Fangio has done a great job, in this defense. And once again, I'm glad that Coach Nagy and GM Ryan Pace kept Vic Fangio around. Because like I said earlier in the video, Vic Fangio was the only coach that should have been kept off John Fox's staff because he was the only coach worth shit. Any coach that was any good. All the rest of them dudes on John Fox's staff was butt. But Vic Fangio was the only one that was, I would have kept and I wanted to keep because I know how much work him and that defense was putting in. And it was great that Coach Nagy and GM Ryan Pace recognized the work that Vic Fangio was doing on that defense and kept that continuity together. That was smart of both guys to do. This defense is awesome. This defense is great. Yes, they're not the 85 Bears. So, I see a lot of crazy fans comparing. They're not the 85 Bears. They're not that team. But this is the first time since the 2006, the 2007, 2008, those Bears teams that had Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs and Peanut Tillman and Alex Brown and Alawale Agunlie and all those guys, where the defense you the defense was excitable. This is the first time that the Bears have had a defense since those guys that's been unreal. Like those were the good days. Those were a lot of the good days. With the Urlacher days and Briggs days and those days where we had Tommy Harris and those guys, those were great defenses. Really great defenses. Those guys, the Lovie Smith era, that was one of the best things about the Lovie Smith era. Those defenses were great defenses, man. They bust their ass. Those defenses, you know, were great. Um, the only negative that I have on those defenses, I think, the powers that be at the time, which was the GM and the coaching staffs at the time, didn't recognize that those defenses were getting old, and they didn't let guys go when they needed to let guys go, and draft guys to really replace them. That was the negative that I had with that, is they didn't recognize when that era of the Bears defense was getting older, and they never drafted guys to really replace the great guys that we had once they got older. Like, they didn't draft a replacement for Brian Urlacher. They didn't draft a replacement for Lance Briggs. They didn't draft a replacement for Tommy Harris. They didn't draft a replacement for Alex Brown and Awale Agunlie. They didn't draft a replacement for guys like Mike Brown and Chris Harris and things like that. They never really drafted guys to replace. Like, they drafted guys at those positions, but those guys weren't good. Like, they drafted guys like Chris Connie and Major Wright, and they just try to put band-aids on the situation when this defense was getting older. So after those defenses got older, we had like piss poor defense for a while, for a long while. Like, the last time the defense was solid was 2010, back when we made the playoffs, and even that defense wasn't. That did be totally honest, the defense was on its last leg. Like, that was like the last gasp of that Urlacher, Briggs, Peanut Tillman era of good Bears defense. And for years, the Bears defense was like average to below average. Right up until last year. The last couple years now, they started drafting. Once Ryan Pace got here, they started drafting pieces to put on this defense and developing guys on this defense. And this year is the combination of actually putting forth the due diligence and the effort to, put time for this defense. And now we're seeing it. We're seeing the greatness of this defense. Khalil Mack was the icing on the cake, making that move. Like I said before, was a power move. It was a move that the type of move that Bears haven't made since like the Jay Cutler move. Not comparing Jay Cutler, saying Jay Cutler was an All-Pro, but that's the what I mean by that move is a winning move, a move that you feel like you're ready to win now. So let's make a move that can create a drastic shift. When Jay Cutler was traded for, at the time, he was coming off a Pro Bowl season, and the Bears hadn't had a good quarterback in forever. That was a drastic shift at the time. Now, Jay Cutler turned out to be what Jay Cutler was, but at the time, that was a drastic move. You're drafting a young Pro Bowl quarterback. Khalil Mack, same thing. Young defensive end / linebacker in his prime. A guy who's ready to win. A guy who's hungry, and as an organization, we're ready to win. And you took that move and you made that move because you declared that this team is ready to win now. And by making that move, that's what the Bears did by making that move. And we did our thing. We did it. Period. And now this is the combination of all the great moves that we've done the last couple off seasons. We're 10-4. We're the division champs. We got a game against San Francisco coming up this week. I like what Coach Nagy's been talking about this week, that we're going to be playing. He's going to play his guys. because you know how it gets. Week 15, week 16. You know how most coaching staffs do. They try to rest guys and stuff like that. It's always that debate on whether you want to rest your starters or if you want to play your starters. My personal opinion on that, I would say, if we have striking distance for the number 2 seed, I would play my starters just to keep them fresh, because you don't want to, not play guys. Now, if guys are injured, obviously, then you don't play them. Eddie Jackson got, an ankle injury in the Green Bay game, so I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't play him until he's fully healthy again. So I wouldn't play him the next 2 games. But if you're healthy enough to play, you go out there and play. Period. Try to win these next 2 games. One, to keep the momentum and positive energy and the positive momentum going into the playoffs, and then two, a guy like Mitchell Trubisky needs those reps. Offense needs those reps. The defense needs those reps to keep that momentum going. So I'm glad that he's gonna play, his starters. Overall, I'm liking what I'm saying from this Bears team. This team has been great all year. I'm looking forward to the playoffs, guys. I'm looking forward to what we can do. I believe in this team. I believe we can make some noise. So let's go out here and bet down. Let's make some noise, y'all. Let's go out here and do this. I know this has been a long video. I hope people, will actually take time to watch it, comment. It'll be posted on my YouTube and my social media. My Twitter account, once again, Baqdolla22. Baq spelled BAQDOLLA in the numbers 22. So at Baqdolla22. And my YouTube is the Baqi Rants. Hope you guys, subscribe on my YouTube. Follow me on Twitter. If you guys have any questions or want to leave comments, definitely do. Would love to get some comments from this video. Get some other, Bears fans and other NFL fans' opinions on what I've talked about in this video. And I love to have debates. I would love to debate fans. Let's keep the debates all, clean and no BS and no bullshit debates. Let's have like legit debates, because I love debating common sense fans. What I can't stand is debating fans that just want to talk stupid shit and don't really have any knowledge or do any research. They just want to talk shit. So I hate debating those types of fans. But if you're a legit fan and you have legit knowledge, I would love to debate, guys. And I would love to, have conversations and get other people's opinions. I'm not above board to feel like I'm wrong about something, or above board to be like, oh, well, you're wrong. No. I would love to have debate with guys and bring fresh perspectives to me, and bring fresh perspectives and bring me things that I probably didn't even think about. But definitely, guys, comment, like the video, subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow me on Twitter. I will be start posting more and more videos, on a regular basis, especially going through this Bears playoff run. I'm also post videos about different types of subjects, because I'm not just a Bears fan. I'm a Bulls fan, even though it's super hard to be one of those right now. I'm a White Sox fan, so I'm a Chicago fan in general. So I'm gonna post videos about a lot of Chicago sports. So I'm definitely gonna always upload and post. But this is Baqi from the Baqi Rants. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitter, comment on Twitter. Peace out.